This video demonstrates Saf3N3t, which is a secure desktop solution that we're developing. And we're at the stage where we're looking to get feedback from highly knowledgeable users, which I'll say a little bit more about in a second. So the advantage of running things in containers is I can configure up a container that gives me the types of functionality that a user might like. So here I'm opening up Firefox, and but rather than running on the bare metal, so to speak, directly inside of Windows, this is running inside of a container. So I can perform actions here, surfing around. But also, if I were to download and save data here, it's not being saved directly to the OS, and so this is not interacting directly with Windows. So our goal here is to head off virus and malware kinds of activity with sort of a different approach than the traditional ones. So I'll close my Firefox container down here. I've also got a Chrome container running, and so inside of here I'm illustrating that I could do email, and email is one of the ways that people get hit with phishing and clicking on the wrong thing, so to speak. I can also get to Microsoft types of applications running up in the cloud. So here I have my Office 365 with lots of Microsoft apps, and here's my a Windows Microsoft Word file. Just to touch on this, so we're looking for lead users, and this is not a term we made up. It comes out of MIT, and it connotes that we're looking for people that know they're sort of experts in a particular space. So in this case, it's probably internet security people and sysadmins that deal a lot with sort of the IT side of things, but as well interface with users and know what users want. But we'd also like end users to be playing around with this and giving us feedback. So we want to convey that this solution isn't totally baked yet. It's got its peccadillos, but we're also probably going to need some funding to get some serious penetration testing done to test whether the containers are as secure as we think they need to be. So lead users will be highly knowledgeable about the space. They may have tried solutions on their own, and they're able to help nurture a solution along that they deem as high potential. So we're hoping that people will find this as one of those. And potentially, if they're inside of a company that could put in a small amount of funding, to sort of illustrate or indicate that they think the thing has potential, but also that we'd probably apply to the penetration testing parts of things. So again, this is just to connote that the response time is pretty good in this stuff. So part of the business case for this, we're thinking, is that there are other solutions out there that, for example, VDI solutions that are fairly expensive to put in place, and this isn't. And also, in terms of performance and so on, the containers just seem to run very well on a laptop or a desktop. So we're not trying to push a desktop all over the network, but just run it natively. And using this day to day, it seems to be responsive enough that we're not upset with it. Last thing I wanted to show in my Chrome container here is I have a page open to illustrate that we have video and sound.
Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about how to change your default search web browser in the...
So that's not a big illustration of the video, but if you notice, the cursor was moving around and I had sound. We also have some early stabs at printing going. So we have a printing container under the covers that we've gotten some initial printing set up on. So arguably you might want to put this all on some sort of a VLAN where the printers were isolated off from data that you have on your core network sensitive data. Again, any data that I'm saving into my persistent data container is not able to view data that I have on the rest of my hard drive. So for example, I have an encrypted area over here where I can keep some of my sensitive information, but that can't be seen from the containers. Just a quick note, a lot of the work that we're doing is based on work that was done by a woman named Jess Frizzell, who was at Docker, and just a nod to her. We sort of greatly admire the work that she did that we're trying to build upon and actually build a product and service that we get to market. This particular container down here is into the file system. So I can look at files maybe that I've downloaded from other people here, but again, they're not sort of seen. They don't see the rest of my hard drive, so they're walled off. And so in this case, I'd have my PDF container application where I could go in and from the persistent data open up a PDF. There's that. I also just wanted to mention we've got a Tor container here. It's a different kind of a browser. Um, Given recently, the government passed a law that allows ISPs basically to snoop at all of your data. And what's new about this is that they may be able to actually sort of trace it down to you. So in terms of if you care about privacy, this gives people a way to to surf the internet privately. Given that it's bouncing me all over the planet right now, it's coming up a little bit slow. So let me come back to this if it manages to come up. Um, Also, just wanted to illustrate that I'm going to open up in effect what is a notepad container here, and I can go back to my Chrome container and copy and paste some information, and then if I want, I can also copy data from the container side of things into an app that's running on my desktop. So my Tor container came up, and so this again, what it's doing is it's bouncing me all over the planet to come out somewhere where I can probably figure out where I am by doing a search on the weather or something like that and seeing where I am. But it's allowing me to have my searches be private, and if you care about that sort of thing, then that's what our Tor container is aimed at. And then last but not least, I wanted to pull up uh, a VM, and what the virtual machine here has is we've taken efforts to lock it down. So the argument would be that this would be another way to give people access to Windows apps, but possibly take away Internet Explorer and other ways that they might touch the internet. But when you use this particular flavor of how we're doing things, in addition to having printing and so on, when you log out of your Windows machine, it reverts the VM back to its original state, but also gives the VM access to the persistent data layer or persistent data container that I was showing a second ago, inside of the file system, opening up a PDF. So this would give me another means to give people things like Microsoft Office. This will run without actually having access to the internet, so I could use this on a plane and so on. But the idea would be that I might, from my Chrome container, download a Word document and then open it up inside of here because I like to use Microsoft Word. The changes or the things I do to that document would persist, but when I log out of my computer, the application and OS side of things would revert back to known good. Um, so that's pretty much the demo I think we're hoping to convey. Again, we're looking for people to start to play around with this. There's a demo up on the site, and you can download and install that. Just a couple things about it. It's aimed at installing on Windows 10 Professional. It enables Hyper-V, and the demo, the install is supposed to quit if it finds VirtualBox on the machine because Hyper-V and VirtualBox don't easily play nicely together, so we don't want to be contributing to messing up your VMs. So there's a fair amount of warnings about please don't try to install this on a machine that has VirtualBox on it. And once you get that going, it puts in a Firefox container. You can start to play around with it a little bit, and then we'd love to talk to people that fit this lead user description and start to help us move this solution along. So thanks for listening, and we hope to talk to you soon.